What is up, everyone? We're back with Losers Finals, Ipsos versus Chevalier de Fromage, also known as me on Discord. Me with a period after it. Not myself. Obviously, he's a different person. Living in Sweden. Very many miles away from here right now. And these cats are on some cool decks. Ib is on a teched out Go Control deck, a couple cards swapped around the main board, and Chevalier de Fromage is on the latest version of our team's empty jar list. Been taking this by storm. I'm personally excited. I'm sure many of the viewers have probably not watched many, if all, empty jar, if any matches of empty jar at all. Interesting that Ib does that. I wonder if he thinks that Thousand Eyes stops Taiyu's effect. It doesn't. But he definitely knows what's up. He knows, definitely knows he's playing against Empty Jar. That's for sure. Let's see what, Me's hand is like. Ooh, pot. Oh, let's go. Only thing better than opening Pot of Greed and Go Control is opening Pot of Greed and Empty Jar. Y'all heard it here first. Right, let's see what he ends up on. This single background in the game one is fucking crucial. And Ib is, if that's a bluff, then Ib is definitely correct to try to represent something with it. Okay, early card destruction. This is interesting. He's gonna lose his first copies of a couple combo pieces here, at the very least. 2 Book of Moons and the Serial spell. Okay, so to combo off here, he's gonna need to resolve 2 spell reproductions in the game. Luckily, he didn't discard any. So that makes the card destruction a viable play. He did lose 2 Book of Moons. Not the most relevant thing. He's probably going to end up killing with Cyberjar anyways. But the 2 card save return also hurts his ceiling. So you do some extra cards there. While you're there, brain fart. It's all good. Okay, so he's got a Thunder Dragon. That means he's going to be able to, at the very worst, reload. He's certainly going to have drawn one of those by now to keep going. Okay, so yeah, and then another good option there is to have. Oh, looks like he did reload. He reloaded and then charitied. So that's good. And it looks like we might be about to resolve a jar effect here. This last one, Taiyu? Yeah. Alright, so Shallow Grave's online for me now. That's a big deal. Oh, well, I guess it already was. I actually hadn't noticed that before, but that meta there actually was probably a lot worse for Ib than he thought. But he didn't end up getting punished for it, because he hasn't Shallow Graved yet. But if that had turned on an early Shallow Grave, that would have been really bad for Ib. Okay, so Mia's going to True Nade here. Probably means he's going to start maybe resolving some spell reproductions. Oh no, he's probably got the third book down here, and he's going to do Morphing Jar again. And might as well. Yeah, game one. That's one of your most common uses of True Nade is putting quick play shit back in your hand, or putting shit back in your hand so you can discard it for a spell reproduction. All right, so here we're going to have Feather the Phoenix put Cyberjar in the grave, which turns on that Shallow Grave that I was talking about. It's pretty likely that Mia has access to Book of Taiyu here. He's got one in the grave, so 2 Book of Taiyu, 3 spell reproductions left. He can use any one of those 5. Or he can use a second Feather of the Phoenix with a second Upstart Goblin, or something like that. I don't know if he's got any other draw cards. Oh yeah, card a save return. And a second Shallow Grave, along with that Feather. Okay, so he resolves the Taiyu there. That's the easiest one, obviously, and it's gonna get him a whole lot of nothing. Wait, how is card destruction banished? Oh, he feathered to put the card destruction on top, right? So yeah, so that gets one of them out of one of those 2 kill cons out of the way. Something Empty Jar needs at the end of every game pretty much is going to be card destruction and Serial Spell in hand. If you resolve a bunch of Cyber Jars and get their hand to be pretty big, it's usually about 10 to 13. It's card destruction and Serial Spell is usually just enough to kill them. Some people erroneously believe that you're not allowed to activate card destruction if you yourself have a huge hand that has more cards in it than your deck does. But that's absolutely not the way card destruction worked in 2005 under Upper Deck, and at many Premier events was it played like this specifically. Yeah, Su goes to his hand, and so Chevalier is pretty much now just looking to get Serial Spell. Feather the Phoenix for Serial Spell with an Upstart, like I said, is going to do it. But the easiest one is Spell Reproduction. If he gets Spell Reproduction right now, it's game. Almost certainly. Unless, yeah, there's no way he doesn't have enough spell discards. So yeah, he's going to have to resolve another Cyber Jar to get to that reproduction, apparently. 3 reproduction in your bottom 11, really? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, I see. It's not. He needs one more card in his hand. I see. Okay, now that's definitely game. As soon as the Cyber Jar resolves. Rock Bombardment, we get to see that main board. Might actually come up later on in the match. It's a little Foolish Burial card going first that we've been testing out. reproduction for serial spell in that game. Yeah, so he discards his hand for the cost for serial spells, so he doesn't deck himself out. Yeah, 11 times 2. It's game. Yeah, see, a lot of people don't know this about Empty Jar. And the coverage from back in the day, Jason Meyer, while I love his writing to my very soul, he did not do a very good job of explaining the deck, in my opinion. Like the deck, in the deck profile, he said something like, you can card destruction, and then they end up having less cards in their deck, and so then you just resolve Morphing Jar a bunch of times. But anyone who's ever doing it like that is pretty much playing the deck wrong. Pre-board and post-board, your combos, the best combos always involve looping Cyber Jar, making that big-ass hand, and then doing the card destruction serial spell thing. In reality, Empty Jar does not resolve Morphing Jar that often. It's a common misconception. And when it does, it's not as a win con. It's kind of just as like a really big, graceful charity. Or like a super-duper upstart goblin. It's not like you're trying to open Morphing Jar every game. You'd usually prefer to just have Cyber Jar. If you want to think about it like that. Yeah, it's kind of a nightmare to lose your final situation for him on the Super Bubble against Empty Jar. The nightmare deck that everyone knows about and no one plays against. Or with. Me does. Another weakness of Iv in this matchup. While a side deck is effective at combating a lot of things, it's not effective at beating Empty Jar. He has 0 Neko Mana Kings, which is a core counterplay option versus Empty Jar. You kind of just, if you're not playing that, you're probably not, or in the other top decks, and Go Control and Chaos Control. It's the staple sideboard out. 2 Pot of Greeds in a row. Can you keep drawing like that? Alright, so he's going to have a kind of modest opening. Mystic Tomato hits Magical Merchant. Magical Merchant gets a Premature Burial, which does probably nothing for him here. We'll see. Wonder if there's any main phase 2 combo that's available to him now. Because that Merchant's in Grave, like, he could have Shallow Grave, Tayu. Ooh. Interesting. Lets it hit over the Merchant. Tribe. Just a poke for 16? He's considering it. He can't declare. He can't discard a Parshath here, though. Or he'd have to declare Aqua to do it. Yeah, he's just going to do the 16, which is smart. He leaves only 1 monster on the field, so he can still Scapegoat. So without Neko Mana King, by the way, there's a number of cards that it can still use that are in his main deck, as a matter of fact. Trap Dust Shoot is a side deck. Given what he's working with, I agree with this. He might as well bring in Trap Dust Shoot for some of his dead cards. But some of his not dead cards in his main board are Scapegoats and Dust Tornadoes. Those are two really important cards for the Goat player or the Chaos player playing against Empty Jar. If he uses Scapegoat at the right time, it'll make Shallow Graves and Cyber Jars, or not just Cyber Jars. Cyber Jars can still resolve, I think, but Shallow Graves can't be activated because you have already summoned. You've already activated Scapegoat. You cannot summon any other monster off of Shallow Graves' effect. So what I like to do is when my Empty Jar opponent flips Cyber Jar, I will chain Scapegoat to that, or try to set up my board to where I can do that by like only having one guy up. Then as Cyber Jar rolls up, blah blah blah, I'll see the 5 cards, and I'll get 5 cards myself. But they'll stay in your hand. First of all, it's not. I'm almost certain you don't like draw a faith. You can't special summon it, so you ditch it to the grave. Leftovers go to your hand for Cyber Jar. I'm almost certain on that. But more importantly, they can't keep going after that. They can't Shallow Grave for their Cyber Jar back, which is how the deck kills you in one turn. Dust Tornado is important for those Giant Trunade situations. Earlier I mentioned how Giant Trunade, especially game 1, its main function is to put your own shit back in your hand. Like quick plays that you had to set, but then you need to activate on the same turn. Use Trunade to put those back. Good drag down hit. I think these are boarded in. Kind of just a generic good going second card for Empty Jar. If they've got an Echo, you'll see it, so you'll know what you have to do to play around it. Ooh, shit. Forgot I need to recycle that. Is this going to start his combo? Let's see. Yes, it is! See, once Empty Jar gets into a certain position, it can... There's something we call reloading yourself to death, where it doesn't have to be with reload, but it's most commonly done with reload, where you get stubborn, you open 6 cards, and you're like, fuck, these all suck, I'm going to reload for 5. And those 5 suck, and so but they have a reload in them, so you reload for 4, and then you don't have anything, and you lose the game. But you can make it so that it can be good for you to reload yourself to death, because you'll just eventually hit that critical combo mass of like 2 or 3 cards. But you generally have to start reloading or doing other trades like spell reproduction for like a Graceful or a Pot of Greed back, stuff like that, where you neg yourself but you dig deeper. If you can expand yourself prior to that, up to like you get to your board, like you resolve a Thunder Dragon first, then maybe you Charity, and maybe a Pot of Greed after that. You end up with like 8 cards. That's when you can start doing that to try to hit just like that key 2-card combo. It also obviously has to do with how thin your deck is. This is the second Cyber Jar loop here. Things are not looking good for Ib. Oh shit, you actually have to reload after that. Yeah, saying and activating off Cyberjar always sucks because it puts another card in your hand. Yeah, see, big reloads. This is what you want to. This is what you want to go for. Kind of like holding Charity in like a normal Thunder Dragon deck. How is your combo in your last 8 cards? There's the card. Oh my god, there you go. They give C's. Just put them on the field. Just put them to ST zone. That's what I do. Shortcut. He's gonna add like card destruction and serial stall. No. I think that'll wrap that up. 2-0 for Chevalier de Fromage. Moving on to grand finals. I think we'll be right back with that, y'all.